let me show you a very interesting sequence in this student, where we formed, by special procedure, a true classical microthrombus attached to the wall, and you see that the red cells are homogenized. We kept the circulation occluded for 6 hours, and you would say, well, dead, dead, dead. No! The remarkable integrity of the blood tissue barrier via the endothelium meant that when we released the flow, you see there, it cleans itself. There is recirculation, and that is why surgery works, because if this didn't happen, we would lose a lot of tissue and also a lot of patients. So this is a kind of example of what will happen in tissues where we perform even so-called microsurgery and very, very gentle surgery. So now we stop that and we get the other one here. Yeah. Now, let me show you something very, very interesting. In 1968, published 1970, I had a very, very good microsurgeon from ENT, Orosimbo Acosta, with me from Brazil for 1 year. We studied the inner ear of animals, and he exposed the microvascular system of the inner ear. And the intriguing thing is that this is the way it looks in one of the 3 circular things we have in the inner ear, and you can understand that in this, which is only 2 micra in diameter, these vessels, if one white cell blocks, there will be a stop of nutrition, and this could cause hearing effects, it could cause other disturbances, dizziness, and other problems. So it's very, very important that these microvessels are kept open. This is bone and marrow, and you see here in the marrow we have tiny, tiny vessels that also go into the bone and back again, and they are so thin that they could be blocked. And that can happen in this part of the body, of course, as well. So I think it's very, very important that you remember when you perform surgery that you should be very, very cautious, very gentle, and try to keep circulation going. This is from the synovium, the joint capsule of the knee. And you see there these very peculiar capillary sprouts, and here this is in vivo from an animal, but this shows about the same as we had in the inner ear. So the human body is possibly too complicated for surgery, but we do it anyway. And then, this is from our studies in rheumatoid patients and knee joints in Finland, where if you have these very typical patterns of microvessels in the knee joint capsule, if you increase the temperature over 42, the most distal part is occluded, and then next one is occluded. And it was very interesting that we had one rheumatoid case, a man who was very fond of having sauna, you know, when you go into fairly hot situation. And we measured the temperature in his joint, and it went up to 45. But the circulation stopped. He had serious pain, and he could not go to have sauna anymore. You know what this is? Well, you know, this is a study I did with Jan Linde in '68, and then it's published 1970. He was with me for a year when he did a lot of work before he got his chair. And this is granulation tissue. You see the dimension of 8 micra of the red cells and 2 in thickness. And this is, we studied in vivo how granulation tissue was formed, how new tissue was formed, a wound is healing. And look at this. there you see the sprouting, a new capillary being formed. And of course you understand, if a white cell is blocking there, there is not going to be any revascularization of this tissue. And this is what happens in your periodontium. And we also studied the effects of hormones on the microvascular system of the periodontium. And I tell you, it's a very sensitive tissue, and it needs very gentle handling, very good care, and one has to consider that it's part of the entire human body, controlled by hormones of different sorts, not the least the thyroid hormones, if it's going to work. Now, what's this? This is what we ask the bone to do, to carry load via a screw-shaped device. And now let me show you this, just as a series, like that. And this is a procedure where we try to avoid any stress concentration, and that will be talked about at the conference in São Paulo in late September. Have you ever thought about the fact that the brain, your brain, the hemisphere, takes care of the hand and the maxillofacial region? That's all. So, the hand and the maxillofacial region covers the outer part of the hemispheres for sensory and motor. And the rest of the body is hanging in between in the fissura interhemispherica. But that's all. So, therefore, I think it's natural, logical to suggest that the hand and the maxillofacial region and dentistry should work together and study together. And then perception is what we achieve, because for different reasons there is communication between the loaded fixture and the tissue and up into the brain. We don't know really how it works, but we know it works, and that is certainly the key to the function of prosthetic teeth and prosthetic hands, and lower limb for that matter. And then, of course, the marrow is the mother of bone. Please remember that the marrow is the mother of bone. And then we're going to have this conference in September 22 to 24 in São Paulo. It's a world conference celebrating 40 years of osseointegration. And then a few days later, we'll open up a new institute, an international center for osseointegration, like that. It's being ready in late August, just ready for the inauguration, where we'll have both research, basic research, immunobiology, and also clinic. So that's going to be a possibility to perform major or minor reconstructive pieces of surgery in all parts of the body, but particularly in the maxillofacial region and in the hand. And this then, I think I would like to finish off by saying that we don't know, I said it before, really how this works, but we know that we would like to bring together, this is Chinese science, human beings, blood, marrow, and titanium. And this then means human being. And Dalai Lama has suggested that coexistence, interactive coexistence, could be summarized by the term in Tibet language, tendel. And I think that we need more philosophy and less mathematics and technology to understand what is not really possible, that you put into the human body in different parts a piece of metal, even if it was spawned 400 million years ago. You put it there, if you do it correctly, you keep it in good order, it functions for a lifetime, and the only thing that will be left of our patients after thousands of years is, of course, a piece of titanium. So this then means that science and scientific truth is just temporary. We don't understand, but we have learned, but by watching, not repeating mistakes, and sharing with our colleagues, what works. We have learned how to do it so that our patients will have a safe rehabilitation. And it requires cooperation, communication, and then it's enjoyable, of course, for our patients, but it's also enjoyable for us who provide it. And I have sincerely appreciated visiting this part of France for the first time, meeting you, and also feeling that you share this basic philosophy that if we do not repeat mistakes made by others, then we can do what is best for our patients. And then it's enjoyable, of course, extremely enjoyable to meet patients, as you also mentioned, after 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And they still tell you that their teeth are a very important part, not only of their bodily function, but particularly of their well-being and their identity as human beings. Thank you. Yeah, my friends, the program says round table, but this is a square table, so we have to negotiate. Huh? If my friends from the centers could come, then I have some questions that we could show on the, or however we do it. Because I thought, since most of you are involved in periodontology, I should make some critical questions related to that specialty, and we'll see what comments we get from those who represent different parts of the world. So I'm supposed to use something I can't use. Huh? If you please sit down there,